Sage Wanderer here, coming at you from my shotgun shack in the Texas Outback. Good morning to you. I just wanted to do a little update on the Texas Homestead Project, and I wanted to talk about what's the most difficult thing about tackling a project this size. From nothing, from scratch. And thankfully I've had a little bit of financial help, because if I had to build this and pay for it along the way, it would have been a really long haul, having to work a job and then only being able to improve on this place, as you had extra money. So having financial help has been, it's like a huge blessing, like a life-changing blessing, for me. And I can't thank you guys enough for helping me along on this project and for your continued support as I continue to tackle this giant project. But with that gargantuan mountain not in the way because of your help, then it's just a matter of how much can one person do. How much can you get done? What can you do? In what order should you do it? And so up until now, I've been, and really even up to this current moment, I've always been doing this on a a needs-based agenda. So it's just, what do I need? Just trying to fulfill the need of daily life and daily living. And if you followed this from the beginning, then you saw when I hit this property out here, I had a tent, and I put up some tarp structures, and a windstorm, an early spring Texas windstorm, came in here and just tore my camp to pieces. So the next step was getting this structure with nothing in it. It's just a shed house. Looks pretty on the outside, but on the inside, it's just walls and studs, open studs, no insulation, some basic wiring, which I'm utilizing. And yes, I am wearing a bathrobe. If if you're a big fan of this channel, you know that my early videos were just always in a bathrobe. Coffee Talk was always in a bathrobe. So I'm bringing back the old tradition. It's just sitting out here on the porch is so nice in the morning, and we have a cool morning. So I needed although the sun's warming things up, I needed a little bit of warmth this morning. So that's why I got the fluffy robe. But I think the biggest challenge is, what do I do next? How much of this can I do, and what can I do next, and what's the most important thing? And it's been needs-based up until now. So, I got the structure, and it stopped me from being out in the Texas wind. And then when I got back from Oregon, we were deep in the Texas summer already. So getting the electrical pole up was a priority. Had to have that to get the air conditioner going, because it was 100 and plus degrees inside the house, at night. I mean, it's just like, when the house got hot in the daytime, it would just radiate heat all night long. And so, in the winter, I needed to insulate, but I only got part of it done. I just insulated around my bed, so it would kind of keep the, raise the temperature a little bit so I wouldn't be so cold. And I never got it finished before I went back to Oregon. So there's just all this. But, the old Marine used to say, how do you eat an elephant? Just one bite at a time. You just have to take one bite at a time. And so, strategizing what is next and what to work on today, sometimes it can just make you indecisive. You're just like, I can't decide what to work on, so I'm going to watch YouTube videos. And with what's going on with my son, I've had some moments like that. Some days like that. But, I just keep chipping away at it, one bite at a time, I want to eat that elephant. And so, yeah, some of the things that I'm going to continue to work on is that there's some brush. They're like cedar staves that are here next to the house, that I got to clear those out, and I'm going to use the wood itself to thicken up this barbed wire fence over here to make it a little more dog and goat proof. And which brings me to a dog. So I guess this is a bit of a story of a dog right now. You're going to be meeting a new family member soon. So if you watch the channel, you know that I've been wanting the first animal on this place out here to be a dog. And that if you know my story, you know that BB, my imposing bodyguard, my little Yorkie dog, was kind of repossessed by my daughter when she moved away, and then when her and I and her mom and everything, when the family kind of fell apart, I haven't seen Mr. BB in months and months. And shame on my daughter for not bringing him around to see me. You know, he was as much my dog as he was hers, and when she moved out, she took my dog. I spent more time with him than she did. She was always at school and then at work. And now he spends most of his time alone, you know, because and with other dogs that animals she's got. But I miss him, so I need a dog, and a homestead needs a dog. And I really, really want, you know, this Nova Scotia duck tolling retriever, because I got blessed with one when I was young, and I had no idea. I thought he was a mutt his whole life. I just thought he was one of them really magic mutts, you know. But he turned out to be a $5,000 hybrid dog. I just didn't know it till after he passed away, and I found the breed. You know, the breed started to grow. It's a Canadian breed, but they're $5,000. I can't justify spending. That's almost as much as my house cost. You know, on a dog. But I looked back at how I'm sorry, there's a brown recluse spider, and he's just bouncing on a web right over here by me. I've got to go hunting him when I get off this video. He cannot be allowed to hang out on my porch. I got distracted by a spider. But yeah, I thought back to how I got that dog and how I got blessed with that dog to begin with, because it all started with a prayer. You know, I prayed, Lord, I really want a dog. This was when I was in my 20s. I really want a dog. I've always wanted a good dog. And, you know, I looked back on some of the dogs that I'd had and how they were, they didn't work out well for me for whatever reason. And trying to raise a dog around the old Marine was tough because it never knew who the boss was. And so this was going to be my first grown-up dog. And I prayed to God that he'd send me a good dog. And if you know the story of Einstein the Wonder Dog, you know that I found this it didn't cost me $5,000. I found this stray dog that turned out to be some kind of fancy Canadian duck hunting dog that I didn't even know. He was just a dog. I didn't recognize the breed, you know. But he turned out to be the best dog I've ever had. He knew so much human commands. I could just talk to him like a human being. My friends used to laugh that my dog was better behaved than their children were. And, you know, I could take him to parties, and he would stay right on my heel in someone's house and do tricks for people, you know, show off and do tricks. And I didn't even need a leash. That's how well trained he was. And that all came from a prayer. I prayed to have a good dog, and God just gave me one, you know. So thinking about that, knowing that I was going to get this late life dog, I decided that I needed to just start there and pray again like I did for the first dog. So I prayed, and I told God what kind of dog I wanted, as far as what I wanted his personality traits to be and what I wanted him to do for me. And I tried to be as thorough and specific as I could be. And 2 days later, my sister calls me up complaining how she's got this dog she can't get rid of. A mutt dog. And the thing is, I already know this dog because when I stayed with her stayed with her for 2 weeks when I first got here, and when I first left Oregon and came to Texas. And she does have a house full of dogs, and this dog was supposed to be her son Nathaniel's dog, but you know, he's an older teenager and he just doesn't really want the dog, and he's, you know, she kind of thought it would be good for him, but she didn't really, I think, ask his opinion of it. You know, so anyway, he just then spends all of his time out in this pen, and he's pretty young still. He was about 6 months old back in the spring, so I guess he's about 9 months old now. And he don't have much training, but he's just about the right age to really kick in with some hardcore training. When I found Einstein wandering around, he was about the same age, between 9 months and a year old, the vet said. So I don't think it's a coincidence that, you know, I didn't talk to my sister about wanting a dog, and I haven't really talked about it much on the channel, but, you know, she was hitting me up going, hey, do you need a dog out there? And I thought, well, maybe that's a sign. And I did like the dog. He seemed respectful. He is a mixed breed. I don't know what he is. He's a rather large dog. I'd say he's probably about 50 pounds now, but he might go 70 when he gets full mature. That he's tall, long-legged dog. So you guys will be meeting him. But I've got to clear out some brush around here. I got to make room for his pen. Apparently he comes with a big pen. I want to get some chickens and some rabbits out here as well, and I think I'm gonna put their pen over here, kind of under these trees on the side of the building. And the rain catchment system, that's a must work on deal. I've got to put up rain gutters. I figured that's going to cost me about $100. And then I've been looking at tanks. They have these used tanks, but I think that it's not worth it. I'd rather get the tanks that are made for rainwater catchment instead of like repurposing, used tanks, because you really have to clean them, and I just wonder how clean you can get them. Are they going to forever taste like, or have residue of the product that they were shipped in? And so they do make brand new, especially out in this country. You can buy them at the feed store, and they have to be black. The tanks that you hold the water in, your rain catchment tanks, have got to be black. That's another thing. Recycled food grade tanks are often white, and you can get a 300-gallon tank for $100, but you're going to spend a lot of time on it. You're going to have to make it black. You're going to have to get it extremely clean. Where you can buy new black tanks designed to last for many years, that are designed to store outdoors, and so they're the UV light can't get through to the water, so you shouldn't have any kind of algae growth issues with these kind of tanks, with the new tanks. And but they're about, for a 350-gallon tank, you're looking at about $350. So you got to have the gutters, the piping, all that. So we're looking at maybe $500 to put in 350 gallons of storage. And that's just the beginning, honestly, because that's just not quite enough, really. You need more than that. And then I got to do all the indoor plumbing. You guys saw my 12-volt shower system. I guess, I didn't realize that I have to do some more research on this, but there's a homesteading project called the Earthship. And they do theirs with a 12-volt pump, apparently. At least that's what one of these other YouTubers were saying. And I saw his 12-volt system. He has a pump like mine, and he runs his water through a very intense filtration process and purification process that I probably won't do. It seemed like overkill. Like he had 2 or 3 redundant systems for purifying the rainwater. When the rainwater coming in is pretty pure to begin with, it doesn't need a whole lot of help, just bacteriological mainly. And you can do that with a Berkey filter. You can do that with a ceramic filter. So anyway, but the 12-volt pump system, I'm going to plumb all that in. I'm still working on the wiring. I've got to bring the studio out here, but the cost of the building is just the beginning of a studio. And that's one thing that this place here taught me. The $8,000 to put it on the ground was just the beginning. I've already got thousands of dollars into things like insulation, wiring, fixtures, shelving, and I'm just getting started. I haven't even started with stuff like sinks and showers and tubs and that kind of stuff. And I had no idea how expensive all that was. And I'm going to, before I make those purchases on that stuff, I'm going to hit up Habitat for Humanity. I understand you can get things cheap there. That's what my viewers have said. I need to do some research and go check that out, and see if I can lay my hands on some of the basic stuff. I mean, so much to do, and it's overwhelming. That's the biggest thing is, what do I do next? What's first? And it's been easy so far because it's been needs-based. And I still got to say that showering is probably the number one need that's really not being met yet. I have my 12-volt pump. I did build the hand shower. I got the on-off valve I was talking about in another video installed in that yesterday, and I took my first shower with it yesterday. Thing is, the Walmart plastic storage tub that I was basically using for a shower basin when I was doing a sponge bath was perfectly adequate, but when you got that wand in there with water going everywhere at full blast, it was definitely splashing everywhere. So I've got to have a proper shower tub enclosure of some kind now that I have flowing water, because that otherwise it's just going to ruin my flooring. There's another thing I don't have is flooring. I'm still on the plywood in here, and I keep spilling water and wiping it up real quickly, but still that kind of a repeated exposure to water is going to cause warpage in the floor. And so much to do, and thousands of dollars it's going to take to do it. And I know I'll get some help from you guys, and I know I'm going to have to get out and work my butt off too. And I got to get my son back on his feet and get him working so maybe he can at least carry his own weight. He was doing that in Oregon. There's no reason to think he couldn't get back to doing that again once we get through this rough patch. And but anyway, yeah, it's just like I was saying, just like eating an elephant, one bite at a time. So what do I do today? Well, I still have the normal stuff you have to do, like grocery shopping, dishes, laundry. So you have to mix that in. I don't know how there's any way I could do this and work a job. There's just no way. I would be, yeah, I don't know. Thank you guys for making this homestead project possible. And I'm going to work hard at being worthy of the gift. And I'm going to share every step of the way with you. You know, I need to buy a chainsaw. That's another thing was tools. You know, I got here with just like an emergency toolkit from the trunk of my car. And even when I went back to Oregon and got stuff on this last trip, I got stuff that was small and of high value, you know, like my skill saw and my drill motor and stuff like that. I didn't have a lot of room for bigger tools. So, and I did not own a chainsaw. Well, I had a little electric chainsaw because we lived in the city you know, and in the camper van, there's no need for all of that. But anyhow, I had to buy tools when I got here. So it's like handsaw, bow saw, loppers, you know. And now I got to buy a chainsaw. I haven't bought a chainsaw yet. And I've been doing it the old-fashioned way with a bow saw and a hatchet. But that's getting old quick, and I got some bigger trees to take down, and it's time to start cutting firewood. Plus, I got to put a wood stove in. You know, those things start at 300 and go up from there. So, so much work, but I'm not going to let it intimidate me. I'm just going to keep after it. And I'll just keep doing it a little bit at a time, and it'll probably be done, you know, 10 years after I'm dead. But, you know, it gives me something to do in my twilight years and my older years. You know, what would I do? I don't know, sit in here and watch the seasons change. So this challenge keeps me young. It's doing wonders for my body. Here in a little bit, I may show it off. I may let you see me splitting wood with no shirt on here eventually, because it's whipping me into shape. You know, I'm losing weight fast. Just the little stuff that you do, and the heat will intensify all of that. You know, just sweating like crazy. But you know, probably today, once I deal with the basics of life, with the extra time I have today, I've got some wood over at my sister's house that used to be fencing, like white picket fence material. And some of it's rotten, but some of it's salvageable. So I'm going to go get those salvage materials because I need to build an enclosure around the solar panel control center that I had up on the porch. So I want to build a rustic looking bench to cover that up and keep it secure, put a padlock on it so no one can steal my batteries and stuff without breaking stuff up and tearing stuff up. I mean, you can't stop somebody if they're going to take something. They'll just tear it up. But at least make it harder for them than to just pick it up and walk off, you know. And plus, that'll make a bench to sit on or a little table to set things on. Let's be a little flat surface that you can sit on. I'll make it strong enough to support weight. And I'll make that out of that salvaged wood. And then probably, I don't know, like a flatbed truck worth of flat stone is out there on my sister's place, like paving stones, natural stone. And she said I could have some of those for some of the electrical work I did out there for them to help them get their RV hooked up to the power and everything. So I put a day and a half in that project. So she said I could have some of those stones, which I will stone around the area, around the outhouse here and to the house here, so that you feel a little more comfortable walking around. As far as snakes go, you know, when you get up on stone a little bit, you can see, you know, that you're not walking on a snake. And it'll also help with water control in the winter and spring months. So much to do, but I'm not going to let it intimidate me. I'm just going to take it a chunk at a time. Plus, I have to go carry water. I'm still carrying water. But I think step one in my water catchment system, instead of going and spending $350 right away on a big tank, I think I'm going to start with a 55-gallon drum and hook everything up to a 55-gallon drum and use that first, because when I get the main system in, I can use the 55-gallon drum in line as a sediment catcher. So when the water comes off the roof, it'll go into the 55-gallon drum first, and hopefully the heavy stuff and the sediment and anything that might have come in from the roof will settle at the bottom of the 55-gallon drum, and when it fills up, it'll flow over into the 350-gallon tank that I'm going to eventually buy when I've found the exact right price, and place to buy it and delivery and all of that. But at first, just to get started, I'm going to start with a 55-gallon rain drum, and it can serve then as an overflow into as a sediment catcher, and eventually the overflow will go into another tank. Then I'll plumb that into the house, powering it all with the 12-volt pump that's powered by the solar panels. Off-grid plumbing. So I've done a lot of research on this. I think I know what I'm doing. And it's just a matter of getting the gutters up. And I got the ladder. That's another tool I had to buy. That thing was $140. But I had to have that to hook up the electricity. And I knew I'd need it to do the gutters, too, for the rain catchment system. So got my hands full here at the old homestead. If you'd like to support my efforts here, and I couldn't do it without you, this is pretty much a crowd-funded project for Old Sage Wanderer. Thank you guys I didn't really plan for my own retirement, so thank you for helping me out for my retirement here, because I made everything about my kids, about my church, and about making sure everybody in my life was happy right now. And I never thought about what would happen when I got old, because quite frankly, I figured I'd die young. I didn't think I'd live this long, or I'd have made better plans. So thank you guys for being my safety net and helping me out. You will not know how grateful I am. You'll never know how grateful I am. And but I hope to be worthy by just putting a lot of elbow grease into this place and providing the labor portion of the equation here. All right, so we'll talk to you later from my homestead project out here at my shotgun shack in the Texas Outback. See you next time.